Well, all right. I hope we're all doing well on this frosty Melbourne morning. Welcome to this month's webinar, and this is Measuring Success. What does my website works mean? What does it mean to have a website that works? So let's crack straight into it. First of all, I want to address what I'm going to call here the wrong question. And I don't mean like you're wrong for thinking this, but when it comes to determining if a website is successful or not, whether it's working, whether it's doing its job, most people will leap towards this question. So they might come to me and ask, does my website look professional? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with asking that question, because I do understand if you don't really know what to look for or what things you can look for, then the only thing you can really judge a website on is how it looks, how it presents, what sort of impression it gives off. And that's totally fine. But what I'm going to do is show you some um, places where you can determine whether or not this website is working otherwise. Um, so what I'd want to be looking at instead is not only does it look right, but did my website cause someone to buy? And that is absolutely something that we can investigate and track once our website is live and up and running and sending people to it. And we're sending people to it. So I also want to touch on here this word conversion, and I do recognize that conversion can sort of feel like an icky word because it sort of feels like you're manipulating somebody into doing something when they visit your website. But for me and the way that I've come to understand the word in it's more of a term for marketing people, marketing analysts and specialists. So conversion for me, it just means that somebody visited a website and they took an action. They converted from somebody who's cold to somebody who took an action. So that could be signing up to your newsletter, it could be booking an appointment, or in the case of the example here, it could be booking an appointment or it could be clicking the buy on Amazon button. So it's not about tricking or manipulating someone. When I say the website converted, all that I really mean is that your website did some kind of job. It took somebody from one point to another. Okay. And also, when it comes to looking at what sort of success metrics to look at with the website and to understand it's doing its job, it is going to look a little bit different depending on what sort of business you have. So I've picked a random selection of industries here, and some of these might be similar to what you're doing. Because in most cases with a website, we want to use it for um, some kind of purpose, like getting leads or selling a physical product or something like that. So for the first example here, I've got a physiotherapist. And what a physiotherapist wants ultimately is new patients. And one of the tools they use to get new patients would be a website that people can find on Google. And so the success metric, the thing that we can measure from people visiting the website is booked appointments. So that's a key point of data that we can see coming through the website and argue whether or not the website is working. Um, so the next one down I've got is a swimming pool builder. So a swimming pool builder, they want strangers to find them on the internet and have a look at their website and make an inquiry. But the goal, may not be like somebody visits the website and clicks on a buy a pool button and hands over money. So what we want to track through the website is something like contact form fills. So if the swimming pool builder has their website online and people are visiting and they're filling out the contact form with information that helps the pool builder decide if they're a fit or not, then we know that the website's working. Now, the next one down is author, and this is a sort of business type that I have worked with and I'm currently working with. So for authors, depending on what sort of setup they have, they might have their own e-commerce, their shopping cart website where they sell their books, or they might be selling their books through a third-party platform like Amazon. So in that case, we might be seeing sales information on Amazon or their shopping platform. And if they've got a website in addition to having this Amazon shop, we may be able to use this website to generate interest and awareness, and then we can see how many people visited the website and then went to visit Amazon to buy the book or visit their sales platform. And then the next one down is a game developer, so another kind of entertainment category. A video game developer might want to use their website to sell downloads of their game, or in a lot of cases, they might be selling on an app store or something like Steam. So the website can be maybe it's not a tool to sell the game to strangers, but the website could be a valuable tool in generating interest and awareness and discovery. And then the metric that we can track through the website is the example I've got here is Steam wishlist ads. So people added the game to a wish list as a result of visiting the website. So if that happens and we can see it and we can measure it, then we can say the website is working. Now, I did sort of mention this earlier, but before I go on, I just want to make something clear here that everything that I'm going to show you today assumes one thing, and it assumes that you've got something genuinely worth selling. So remember a moment ago, I said that when we're measuring the success of a website, we want to measure conversions, and conversions doesn't mean we manipulated someone's mind. We changed one person from something to another. A website doing its job in converting means that we used it to sell something. And I'm hoping that means that you have a product or a service that is valuable and that is useful to people. And it's not about selling some kind of rubbish and using a website to trick people. So to make it perfectly clear, I'm not talking about using a website to grift people. I'm not talking about hustling your ass off. And I'm not talking about like making something sloppy and putting it out there and manipulating as many people as you can into buying it. Like that, I'm not about that. And this is not what I'm teaching you to do. All right, so now let's talk about some specific values, some specific labels or metrics, stats we can look at under the hood of your website analytics and data. And don't worry, I'll get to the where you can actually find this information. But I do want to make a distinction between these two categories of metrics, of numbers that we can measure on our website or our online platform. So I've got here in the top vanity metrics and value metrics, and there's nothing really wrong with being excited about these different metrics, these different numbers, but they do have different places, right? So the vanity metrics, these are the ones that you can sort of when you're at your family or friends barbecue. You can brag about how many page views or hits you got to your website, or you can brag about how many social followers or email subscribers or YouTube subscribers you have. Those are really exciting and fun things that you can talk about. But the distinction I want to make here is the different category of metrics, which is the value metrics. So these are numbers that we can track on your website that indicate somebody did something through interacting on your website that caused you to earn money or took a step towards becoming a paying customer. So this is things like filling out a form, booking an appointment, purchasing a product, or in some cases, a phone call. If these are numbers that we can see, somebody visited a website, they filled out a form, and we can go, great, the website's working. And these value metrics are actions that people have taken that either are a purchase or a step towards becoming a paying customer. Okay, so now, where do you actually go and see this information? And there can be a number of different places to find this because there's so many different websites and online platforms these days. Depending on where you are, some businesses might have something that's called a CRM, which is a customer relationship manager. So if you don't know what that is or have no interest in using it, that's totally fine and legit. But I'm going to take you through a few common examples of where I would look if I wanted to see if a website is working or not. So the first category I've got here is a Shopify dashboard. So this is your e-commerce, your shopping cart website. When you own a Shopify website and you're logged in and you see the dashboard, it's pretty obvious whether or not your website is working because you can see sales information right in front of you. You can see your orders, you can see how many website visitors you had and how much money you made from selling things on your website. So if you can see information there, then that means your website's working. But if you're seeing, your website spin around and you're not seeing items being sold, I think, yeah, that would be something worth investigating. And in the next one down, I've got Google Analytics. So it's pretty normal and pretty common when you're a small business and you get a website built that someone might install Google Analytics and then maybe you look at it, maybe you don't, maybe you feel like really overwhelmed and don't know where to start. And I completely understand that. And the reason why it may feel complicated is because Google Analytics is, I'm going to be honest, like it's really a tool for marketing specialists and analysts. So if all you really want to do is sell swimming pools or sell books or take people in for psychology or physiotherapy appointments, why would any of this make sense to you? Like, unless you're also really keen in marketing on the side of what you do, um, that's totally legit. Like, I'm not going to stop you from going in there, but if it's something that you don't even want to care about, that's fine. Because these tools like Google Analytics, they're made for marketing people and website people. And I'm also not saying that if you've got a small business that it's wrong for you to use this, you absolutely can. And what I would do for somebody who is, say, tracking the number of appointments booked through their website, I might go into Google Analytics and set up a custom report for them that only shows the information that they want to see, so they don't get bogged down in all these different interfaces that don't make sense, basically. And that's something that I really love helping people out with. And then you might simply have a simple spreadsheet, and absolutely nothing wrong with that. I would actually encourage businesses to start here when they can. I don't even use a Google Analytics setup for my own business because for me, like in order to keep in business, I really only need like one, two, or three new clients every month. So if I had something like Google Analytics where I was tracking like on every different channel where I'm getting website visitors from, like that's going to be overkill for me, and I don't really need that. So in order for me personally, when I've only got like two or three new clients every month, all that I really care about is how many people filled in a form on my website and how many people I spoke to, and then how many people actually turned into a paying client of mine. Like that, those are the metrics that matter to me, and that's what I track on my own website. So I don't need any kind of like special analytics tools to do that. It works for me. And so if that's the kind of level that you're at, that's what I'd encourage you to do. So also, let's touch on this concept of attribution. So attribution, it kind of just means like giving credit to the thing that caused you to get that conversion or get that sale. Um, so in some cases, you could have a newsletter that's a really important tool in promoting your business. And if you get people to click a link in your website, in your newsletter, and they go to your website and they make a purchase, well, then we can go and give credit to that newsletter for giving you a sale. So that's kind of how that works. And as an example here, I want to argue the point of getting a $5,000 website. And, I often have conversations with people where they don't really get like, they don't really get how the cost of the website is going to work for them. Um, but having said that, if I wanted to measure the success of a website that I built, I would argue that paying about $5,000, if in the end of the day that's going to result in $10,000 worth of revenue, not just once, but ongoing forever since we built that website. When you measure the value that you get over time from this starting investment, then it sort of works out that that's actually not so bad. Um, so that's why when I'm building websites, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm not just making it look pretty. I'm thinking about uh, where this fits in with your ecosystem and what kind of metrics we're tracking. And then if we can demonstrate that, yes, this website's generating money, then we could give credit to building the website, or it could be something else. It could be like doing our blogs or doing some social media ads. When we want to know if they're working or not, we can set up attribution tracking to go, hey, yeah, somebody clicked that ad and then bought something, so we know it's working. We know that that's a worthwhile investment. So now let's talk about setting up to measure. And this is where we sort of define what and where and at what points in the customer journey um, do we set little flags to say that this is something that we want people to do and this is an indicator of success. So in something like Google Analytics, um, what someone like me would have to do would be to set up a conversion event. So you might have a really simple Google Analytics setup, or somebody showed you where you can look and see how many people are visiting your website. And coming back to those vanity versus value metrics, it'll be pretty clear and obvious if people are visiting your website, and you can talk about how many hits you got in a month. But in order to make this website a more valuable tool for your business, what I would do is create a custom event that sort of triggers when somebody fills out a contact form or makes a purchase. So you can say, okay, somebody visited the website, they took an action, and then that action has a dollar value. Um, Similarly with booking tools or third-party platforms, we could set up something like a UTM tag on the website. So I'm not going to go too much into what a UTM is because it's one of those marketing things where if you know about it and it matters to you, then it matters. Otherwise, it doesn't. But essentially, what a UTM is like putting a stamp on an envelope. So say for instance you got a website and then in order for somebody to do the next step they go somewhere else like to a booking platform that's outside of your domain. The UTM is like putting a stamp on an envelope of that activity, so the person goes off your website, but the UTM is like this stamp that says okay, it came from the website. So then in your measurement you can still see that the website caused that person to go off and make that booking, make that purchase off site. So if a UTM tracking is applicable, I will let you know. Otherwise, if all the actions take place under your website, so in your domain, say you've got a Shopify website, and somebody's making a purchase there, the UTM doesn't really matter unless you're, say, tracking from somewhere externally and then sending someone to your website. So it depends really. So if it matters, you'll know. If you don't know or it doesn't matter, then I wouldn't worry about it. And then also the tool I would set up for some circumstances, like my website, for example, is just a three-column spreadsheet. So that could be Excel or Google Sheets, or it could be you printed out a table on a piece of paper and you fill it in with a pencil. And for me, what I simply fill in is just like how many pieces of content I made, how many people filled in the contact form on my website, and then how many people who filled in that contact form became paying clients. And then that's what I look at to indicate whether or not my website is successful. So just to reiterate here, so the UTM is just like a little tag that you put on the end of the link. So it's like putting a return address or a stamp on an envelope to say like where it comes from. So again, UTM tracking, if you know it and it matters, then it matters. If it doesn't matter, don't worry about it. So I want to take a look here at what I'm calling the design trap. And I did sort of touch on this at the start of the presentation. So to determine whether or not a website is working or not, we might, in it, with a lack of other information, we might sort of focus on, does the design work or not? Does this make me look professional? And asking questions or dwelling on whether or not the colors or the fonts are right is relevant in terms of branding and positioning your business and creating an impression. And it does matter if we can measure it and prove it. So asking whether or not I should use the trendy fonts or the Pantone color of the year is more of a conversation that you'd have with a branding strategist. And it does matter if we're talking about attracting a certain type of clientele. But for the purposes of measuring a website is successful or not, what I'm more interested in is, did an action somebody take on the site cause them to buy, or did the experience on the website cause them to buy? And the design is just kind of one aspect of that. So I'm not saying that it's wrong to think about whether or not the design matters. But what I'm suggesting here is that, for example, if we can say that changing the color of a button causes 8% more people, if we look at this contact us or book appointment button and we change it from red to green. And if we can say like that caused 8% more people to go on and make a purchase or make a booking, then we can say, yes, the design works. Um, but like depending on who you are, whether or not you're using the latest on-trend font, it may or may not be like the deciding factor on whether they've chosen to work with you or not. Um, and I do find that that's kind of a bit more like broader and more outside than um, measuring our metrics. So like it is, something that's worth experimenting with. But where I see it is more of a question of like what sort of impression you're giving off and what type of clientele you want to attract. Um, so for somebody like a psychologist or a physiotherapist, like maybe it doesn't matter too much in terms of getting a volume of clicks or something like that. But it can matter in the sense where like I want to attract a certain type of clientele. So yeah, that's where that fits into the conversation. That's it. Yeah, I'm just gonna wrap up here. So what what we covered today was defining what it means to have a website that works. And in a nutshell, that's did the website cause someone to buy, or did it cause them to take the next step in order to becoming someone who would buy from you? Um, so yes, the visual presentation does indeed matter, and it's important to get that right. Um, but in order to determine like whether or not the website is successful, is it working, what we're actually looking for is measurements like how many people filled in a contact form or how many people uh, made a purchase. And that is something that we can actually see. Um, and it does differ depending on what kind of business you have, but that is valuable information that I want to see and track under the hood of a website. All right. So, thank you so much for being here with me today. If you'd like to connect further, if you'd like to ask any questions about what we discussed, do feel free to connect with me. So, if you go to this address here, loukoz.com, loukoz.com/hello, that'll take you to a page with my social media channels and how to contact me. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for being here. If you found this presentation helpful and if you found this information useful, I'd really appreciate it if you let me know. And also, if you can think of one person to share it with who might get value out of this, please do that for me as well. And I really appreciate you helping spreading the word of how I work and what I do. Um, So I hope you learned something from this. And again, thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing you on the internet.